Welcome back to Yang Daily. It's been a disturbing day. You'll see, we're jumping right in. So, I try to ignore Trump most of the time, as he's become an inherently partisan figure, but I can't ignore what happened today because it's such an incredible example of what a circus our government has become in these times where tribal partisanry overrides reason and responsibility. Trump gave a 2 hour briefing today that he jokingly called a coronavirus press briefing. The joke is that it was more about Trump's ego than the crisis, as he spent the majority of it ranting about how he's done everything right. Well, it wasn't just about him being right, it was also saying the media has been mean to him and their fake news. He even played essentially a campaign ad during the briefing, showing a timeline of his actions and showing media clips of responses to the virus and governors saying nice things about Trump. As the video played, Trump stood next to the screen and repeatedly turned back and forth between it and the audience with a smug smile and pointed at the TV like it was his crowning achievement in life. There really is no way to understand how crazy this briefing was without watching it for yourself. It was literally 40 straight minutes of nothing but self praise and railing at the haters on national TV, where the government is supposed to be informing the country on the path forward, all spent soothing the fragile ego of our President of the United States. This is where we are as a nation. State governors have been coordinating task forces to determine how they want to handle the reopening of their economies. Governors on both coasts hammered the notion that their decisions will be driven by facts, science, and public health professionals, not politics. Trump then tweeted, quote, "For the purpose of creating conflict and confusion, some in the fake news media are saying that it is the governor's decision to open up the states, not that of the President of the United States and the federal government. Let it be fully understood that this is incorrect." End quote. In the press briefing, Trump again asserted his authority to override governors and went further, saying, quote, "The President of the United States calls the shots. When somebody's the President of the United States, the authority is total. It is total. And that's the way it's going to be." End quote. Trump repeated claims of his total authority over states multiple times throughout the briefing, either not realizing or not caring that he was declaring himself a dictator. All this to say, if you were hoping for the federal and state governments to get their act together and coordinate on the recovery, good luck with that. It's idiocy all the way down. Moreover, if you're hoping our government will get their heads around ideas such as UBI and M4A without our strong intervention, give up that dream now. Our leaders are bickering children. This is up to us. Speaking of being screwed, Bernie officially endorsed Biden today in a video where the two discussed at length their commitment to work together to defeat Trump and some platitudes from Biden about working for a progressive revolution that he can't possibly have meant. One particularly right moment was when Biden lamented about how we're still arguing over healthcare being a human right, of all things, as if it hasn't been him arguing against that the same way he's argued against a basic income as a right. He did at least mention the Fourth Industrial Revolution at the end. Nice of him to acknowledge the problem, but it would be even better if he would adopt the solutions. Anyway, there's obviously a lot of reprisal going on from YangGang toward the Bernie camp after the absolutely relentless daily onslaught of toxicity that's been pouring in nonstop from certain burners over Yang's own endorsement. As tempting as it is to rub their nose in the hypocrisy, I want to appeal to everyone to bear in mind the consequences of your actions and the gravity of the challenge we face. We are in an uphill battle for the elimination of poverty and wage slavery, the dawning of a new age of freedom, innovation, and humanity. If YangGangers make a snide remark to burners in retribution for our mistreatment, that might feel good, but remember that it has an effect. Burners, even those who weren't involved in the toxicity, will be dissuaded by such behavior from working with us. In a battle where we need every last ally we can get to change the world, is that snide remark really worth potentially derailing our future? That is the question. I vote no. I vote for commiserating in our common loss and uniting to make a concerted push in this unprecedented time of opportunity. You can make your own judgment. The Humanity First team in Illinois is looking for a local volunteer to head their policy team, preferably with policy, legal, government, or advocacy experience. If you fit the bill, hit up the link below to apply. Paget Kagi hosted another virtual town hall of UBI caucus members with New York's Luchi Gaya and James Felton Keith, as well as Cali's David Kim. Check it out below to get to know them better. These are people we need to get into Congress so that we can finally have some adult leaders driven by conscience and data. Mark Madness Live produced a video to lay out the argument for why Yang's best path to the presidency is through the New York City mayoral race. Among other points, he says that it will give Yang the political credentials, name recognition, and voter trust he needs to be considered a viable option, and that Biden will choose a female VP and likely hand the baton to her in 2024, meaning Yang would be running against the presumptive nominee and potential first female president. Not a good look. It would also allow Yang to trial UBI and prove its validity. These are good points. My biggest problem with it is simply that I fear pushing President Yang too far into the future when it might be too late to save us from the many impending disasters that no one seems interested in preparing for. If he didn't run in 2024, it would likely be another 8 years before he'd have a real shot to try again, and that would undoubtedly be too late in my opinion. Could he use his mayoral cred to influence the Fed into adopting UBI and other policies with someone else as president? Possibly, but I wouldn't hold my breath. For that reason, I don't really see an alternative to him running in 2024. The YangGang Network is mapping out notable YangGang contributors across the US so we can get a visual of all the human resources we have available and where. If you are a political candidate, an artist, an influencer, a merchandiser, a volunteer, or so on, and want to make yourself known and available, please follow the link below and add your pin to the family. Our fellow YangGanger Cesar Marquez has conveniently collected all the Twitter handles of every US senator in a thread so that we can copy them and paste them into our arguments and demands for emergency UBI. We need to flood their feeds until they cannot see anything else, YangGang. They need to see UBI when they close their eyes at night. And keep up the 5 calls a day so they hear it in their dreams too. No rest for Congress until UBI is passed. Yang announced that Humanity Forward is purchasing 2,200 face shields /PPE for the city of Detroit from Operation Masks, and that they should arrive this week. So that's pretty cool. Lastly, Jonathan Chang has designed 4 stylish COVID masks for Humanity Forward to sell as donation merch. 3 have math printed across them in various colors, and the last has Humanity Forward. They're pretty groovy. My favorite's the golden math. Andrew responded with interest, so I think we can expect to see these go into production at some point. I know there will be a lot of takers. Hang in there. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Apply for the Illinois policy position if applicable. Check out the virtual town hall. Add yourself to the YangGang Network map. Flood your representatives with calls, tweets, and letters, but particularly 5 calls a day. Print and hand out your neighborhood outreach cards. Get your taxes filed or visit the IRS portal so you can get your $1,200. Consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, or United Way if you need help. Call and write Trump, Pelosi, McConnell, Graham, Dean, and Schumer why true UBI stimulus is the best solution. Use ResistBot or Income Movement to easily contact all your representatives. Consider what we can do to push the movement forward in this critical moment, and discuss with others at the local hubs in the support links. And don't forget to Yang Daily.